All right, we're recording. Looks like it's time to get started. So thank you everyone who's joining us. We still have some people coming in. That's great. We're going to go ahead and get started with this webinar. So thank you again for joining us. Today's webinar is presented by TARS and Adzuma, and it's our marketing automation playbook, 5 automation tactics to help you capture more leads through your ad campaigns. I'm your host on the TARS side, Levi, and I'm joined by Puneet and Mark over at Adzuma, and they're over across the pond, as we like to say, over in the UK. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's going to be a great webinar. Really excited to get started. So we're going to jump right into it with introductions. I already kind of introduced myself, but to give a little bit more background about me, my name's Levi Wartz. I'm a chatbot specialist here at TARS. I've been working with chatbots for over 4 years, doing all kinds of deployments in the public and private sector, usually focused on complex enterprise and mid-market level deployments in marketing and customer support. And I'll hand it over to the Adzuma guys to introduce themselves next.
Fantastic. Thanks, Levi. So my name is Pan, and I'm the head of innovation at Adzuma. My background is predominantly working for agencies, large agencies in London. So working on big brands, helping them with their digital marketing. And I joined Adzuma a couple of years ago to help them with the development of the platform and just making sure, that we do stick to the fact that we want to make it as useful for marketers as possible. So I'm helping the guys out now, and I'll pass it over to Mark to introduce himself.
Cheers, Pun. Cheers, thank you. So my name is Mark. I'm the head of paid media at Adzuma, and my role is to work alongside Pun in taking those insights that we learn and develop and help to work with the developers in the platform to make those insights actionable.
Great. Thank you guys again for being here. So we're going to do a quick overview again for the folks that are just joining us. Feel free to ask any questions that as they come to you during this webinar. We'll do our best to answer them live if it fits at the moment. Otherwise, we have a big block at the end to cover that. So just talking quickly about each of the companies. TARS, we've been helping marketers boost their conversion rate using conversational text since 2016. And that looks like chatbots, that looks like conversational landing pages, which we'll cover in this webinar, among other things. And of course, Mark, would you like to introduce a little bit more about Adzuma?
Sure, thank you. Yep. So Adzuma we're here to actually help the marketers maximize the actual performance across Google, Microsoft, and we've been in operation since 2015. So what we do is we help users to actually save time and import and what we call opportunities to actually boost the performance within an account.
Great. All right, so let's take a quick look at this overview of this webinar. So we're going to talk about the importance of automation, kind of frame the whole discussion of why we're here today and what we're talking about. And then we have 5 tactics to share with you. TARS is going to go first with the first 2 tactics, and then Adzuma is going to finish up with the last 3. We're going to show a little quick live demo of how our products use these tactics, and then we will be jumping into Q&A again. So feel free to ask those questions whenever, but at the end, we're going to save hopefully 15-20 minutes of time to answer any questions that you have, and we'll go from there. So the importance of automation. This is a key, it's a key driver in 2021, especially in 2020, but now we're into 2021. We're into the implementation phase of automation in marketing and across really our world in everything that we're doing. So the key with automation is a critical component to scaling your marketing and ROI. It is the secret sauce, so to speak, to how you're able to engage with a lot of different people, get qualified leads, and filter all that into your marketing stack and see massive returns from your ads using these tools. That's what we're focused on specifically. So every successful, successful components of an automation strategy look pretty simple. It's defining process. So all automation is working through some type of process. You have to understand what that is. Identifying your bottlenecks. This is where automation is key to overcoming and scaling those bottlenecks. So you can overcome a bottleneck, but if you can add automation to the mix, then you can scale and overcome and never have to deal with that bottleneck again. Seamlessly integrating tools is really looking at all the tools you use as a marketer and how they fit together in your automation strategy. If it's seamless, then you have much more time on your side and you're getting much better return from the tools that you're leveraging. And then finally, adjusting based on user actions. So this could be either in real time or it could be happening after the fact as you have this data rolling in and automation running to make determinations and make changes so that you get the maximum return on your automation strategy. So we're going to jump straight into the tactics. No reason to sugarcoat it or wait. Let's jump right in and look at these 5 tactics and how you can leverage them in your next marketing campaign. So first and foremost, we're going to look at the conversational design side of things, and that's automating customer conversations. The biggest key with conversations is customers are craving them, especially now that we've been basically locked up, cooped up. We've reduced our human interactions. Everybody's on Zoom, just like this webinar. And we're looking for conversations with people, whether it's an actual person or an automated version of a person. We are looking for interactive experiences. So just to frame this up, one of the problems that we are facing with our typical post-click ad experience is static landing pages are unengaging. They're not a conversation. They're a one-way information delivery. So folks are having a hard time connecting with brands that they really want to have conversations with, and instead are forced to look at more of a static overlay of information. Now, with that, automation is very limited on page. Mostly it's not happening, right? So if you go onto a traditional landing page, there is no automation happening in real time while the user interacts with it. It's usually CTAs that you click and then you fill out a form. Most of the automation happens post that conversion on the landing page. While still powerful, it definitely restricts a lot of key automations that we can leverage for return on those interactions. And leading right into that, how I mentioned that it happens post that form fill, post that conversion. Forms traditionally have to be very simple, right? They have to be very simple so that folks actually fill them out. Well, what happens there is we don't get as qualified leads because we're not doing any type of filtering with those users other than our AdWords, keyword searching and optimization, which AdZuma is going to talk to us in quite some great detail. But we are looking for something more. We need more information about that user. We are seeking qualified leads, which turn to revenue, and forms just aren't really hacking it. And that is one of the main problems that we're facing with static landing pages and this kind of bottleneck when it comes to opportunities to automate. And the truth of the matter is you can implement live chat. You can implement call centers to drive people to those human conversations, but they're not scalable. There's little automation that's going to help you replicate live people, right? So it's really hard to get somebody spun up to actually be effective at talking to folks. It's not really a consideration in a marketing campaign, because how are you going to have, if you have 1 million people hitting that ad, for example, how are you going to have the support staff to scale up or down especially 24/7, to meet those demands. So it doesn't seem like using humans is a good way to scale marketing campaigns and get a return that we're looking for. So we're looking for customer centric, human to human type experiences, but we can't actually use humans because we cannot scale them. We cannot match the demand with what our ads are bringing in. So that's why we're traditionally driving back to those static landing pages, because they do have scale, right? You could have millions of people land on that landing page. The problem is the conversion rates are low, the quality of leads are low, and we are looking, oh, that switched on me, for something more. So introducing conversational landing pages. Now, this can be done two ways. So I want to frame this early on to say that there's actually two approaches to this. What you see here is a traditional type of landing page. This is one of our customers, Delaware Inc., that helps folks start Delaware registered companies, LLCs or corporations, which people across the world actually leverage to have businesses operating in the US under these under this domain. So over here, you'll notice on this screenshot that there's a little widget floating. This is actually one of our chatbots. So using their traditional landing page, but adding a conversational element, that is one way to leverage conversational landing pages. The other one is to actually use the chatbot to conduct the entire interaction. So no traditional landing page all through a chatbot. Those are those two ways. Now, the reason why this conversational automation is so effective is, one, it's leveraging the most ubiquitous interface in the world, over 6 billion active users every month on messaging apps. Everybody understands text messaging, so it's very consistent across the board, and users are already primed. There's no real learning curve, right? It's very upfront. They understand how to use it. It's simple for them. And on top of that, it's going to convert and segment up to 50% more qualified leads than forms. We'll get more into this on tactic 2, but essentially what is happening here is the ability to branch users based on how they're interacting in real time to deliver them to different messaging, different outcomes, things of that nature. Ask the questions up front that you need to make sure that that lead is qualified, or that they're segmented into the right drip campaign that you're going to run against them. If they're not a qualified lead, they need some nurturing. You have the ability and the control to make that happen through conversational landing pages. And then finally, you can automate your entire workflow on your marketing tool stack, which is again in that second tactic, while delivering that dynamic experience. So what that means is messaging itself can actually change based on numerous ways, and dynamically populate information in front of the users, dynamically populate options for them to choose from. So we're looking at a much smarter and engaging way to connect with those customers in those marketing campaigns. And what that looks like, just a real quick click here. This is what happens when you click on that widget on their site. It opens up this very simple conversational app that allows the user to then drive to very specific information, and it asks questions as it goes. So we'll do a quick demo of this at the end of the 2 tactics on page, and we'll give a quick look to that. But for now, we're going to move to tactic 2. We're going to talk about how you can use conversational apps to trigger events in your marketing stack. And this is what this is really doing, is unlocking the full potential of automation in real time with the customers as they're interacting with your marketing campaigns and your ad campaigns. So the problem here is it's very difficult to set up nuanced workflows that work, especially in real time, especially as the users are interacting with that post-click experience. Again, traditional landing pages can only automate simple workflows. Most of this is post that conversion. Tools like Zapier that are running this information that has been collected through the form to all different places. As well, to think about that, marketers do require a lot of tools, and your marketing stack may be loaded with a bunch of different tools. How well do those tools work together? Are they integrated with each other? Are they talking to each other? How is that front page experience, that post-click experience for the user, how is that integrating into your marketing stack? That's a very good question to ask, and it's something that requires a lot of diving into the nuts and bolts of things. And to actually make this work with a traditional landing page can be very costly, and it can be very developer intensive and time intensive to make these things happen, such as a calculator on a landing page that helps convert that individual into giving their information up can be quite costly. Oh, I jumped backwards again. My mouse is very touchy. So the answer to this, one of the main answers to this, especially that development and hard to build these automations in there, are drag and drop, no code flow builders. Now we're seeing a lot of these coming on the market. They've been pretty prevalent in the last 5 years. So the ability to drag and drop how that experience is unfolding, whether it's behind the scenes, which we traditionally see as behind the scenes workflow builders that may be a sequence of emails based on a segment of that user, or other tools that are firing in a sequence that you build through a workflow builder. I think everybody can agree that it's a very easy way to set up and visualize how your automation strategy is unfolding for the user. And it is much quicker, right? We're eliminating the coding factor behind it. So it allows all marketers to be able to jump in and create, versus having to do that back and forth process with developers. This means that, especially on the conversational landing page side, that you can build different branching flowcharts that end up with different outcomes, which is very key when you're interacting with somebody and allowing them to drive that interaction. The way I look at it is engagement equals action. Action is what is our conversion. So we're trying to get people to engage with us because that engagement equals conversion. There's no better way to accomplish that than having the user interact frequently with what they are on. So landing pages, it's a click on a button and it's a fill out of a form. There's not much interaction happening there. But with chatbots and conversational landing pages, there's always an interaction back and forth between the user to drive the experience forward. So that action translates to conversion. And again, as these users are branching, we can segment them into granular lists. So we can have different nuanced automations running against these users as they interact with the chatbot, triggering it in real time, triggering it after the fact. All of these things are very possible. So let's just talk about that really quick. Triggering automations in real time unlocks a whole new potential for how your marketing campaign interacts with those customers post-click. Instead of waiting to that email after they fill out, what if you're already interacting with them and updating them and creating automations as that user is interested in the time that they are interested in the product or interested in the offering and are ready to move forward. This is a whole different experience than traditional landing pages, because most folks, if they drop off halfway through that form fill, if they're on the page and interact or look around at it a little bit and bounce, you have no real understanding of what they were interested in, what they were driving to before they left. With a chatbot, you know exactly what they did in through the interaction. It's much more granular, and you do have the option of triggering automations and triggering some of those key workflow and top of funnel events, even if that person isn't going to be a qualified lead that converts to money today. They may be a lead that you can nurture over 2 months to an eventual conversion. So chatbots allow you to be nuanced in that way. And you can also connect to your favorite tools like Zapier. I know a lot of people use that. It's very handy, especially when you're branching out to all your other different marketing tools. So it's a great service. It can be triggered in conversation in our particular chatbot, as well as any other application with a REST API. So you can actually connect to thousands of applications in real time. And they're really easy to design and implement. So I actually built a chatbot for a client in 30 minutes yesterday. So it took me 30 minutes and there was a finished product out the door. So they're very fast. That's what we love about drag and drop, no code builders, super easy to use, very fast to implement. And specifically with TARS, we have over 1,000 templates that will get rocking and rolling in 2 clicks and then you can customize past that. So I'm going to jump out really quick, show what this looks like on Delaware side. So Delaware Inc., their chatbot is right here. This is now off of that mobile experience that I showed through the screenshots. Now we're on desktop, and here is that chatbot. So really quick, I'm just going to drive through this and pop out a couple observations. One, it's very easy to interact and learn about the business. This is building a conversation around the brand instead of a block of text on a landing page that nobody reads anyways. Now they have an option to click on this and feel like they're actually conversing with the brand. Information on forming a company. This is great because really that's why somebody's here. This is a soft CTA, right? It's a soft move to conversion. So if we click on that, we're going to start moving through an experience that is going to attempt to convert this user and then close that deal. So one thing to note on conversational landing pages, conversational experiences, is it feels much more personal right off the bat. Sure, we're happy to help. I would love to see a landing page do that. They often don't. Like I said, they're static and that information is in front of them, but they're not really conversing with the user. They're not making an interaction and it's not very engaging. So I'll just move through a little bit more here and then I'm gonna go ahead and end this demo. But as you can see, now as we interact with this chatbot, it's starting to break down the more granular interests that we're looking for. So are we looking for a Delaware LLC or we're looking for a Delaware corporation? Now we're getting much more granular. I'm more engaged. I want to interact with this. It's asking about me, not just my information. So I'm much more likely to drive through this and convert. And on the end, the back end, Delaware's end, they're going to know a lot more about me as a user and my needs and how I can turn into a paying customer than if I ever filled out a form. So with that, I'm gonna hand it over to the Adzuma folks. They're going to discuss how you can take this. So you have your conversational landing pages. You're ready to go engage your users. How do you optimize your ads through automation to make sure you're getting your best return on them once they get to these conversational landing pages? So, all right, guys, you ready to take over?
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Levi. Thank you very much. Right, here we go. I'm just going to share my screen. Fantastic stuff. Here we go. Fantastic. Yep. So I'd like to talk to you today about pause non-converting keywords. Now, this is kind of a tactic that's come about from as search traffic evolves, and we've got more and more searches, and we've got more data coming into channels, and whether that be through Google or with and it seems a good way to look at how budgets are utilized and how you can get the best from them. So in a recent study, as we found that over a selection of 2,000 accounts, we actually found that 61% of ad spend was actually spent on keywords that didn't convert. Now, when you start to think about that, that's a huge amount of spend that's not been effective. It's not actually like pushing conversions and actually driving an ROI for you. So how do you go about doing that? And I think that's what we're going to show you now. Actually, we're just going to have a look and show you how you can do this. So one is actually creating rules through your marketing channels. So with Adzuma is you can create rules across Google and also Microsoft and Facebook. And it's a really simple process. It allows you to be notified or to take action on those rules, and it allows you to really automate your methods at scale. So I'm actually just going to jump into the platform now, actually, and just show you how to create those rules. So I've logged into Adzuma. This is our automation rule center, and it shows you exactly what rules you've got running at the moment. It's got the name of the rule and how they're applied. So whether they're applied to your keywords, campaigns, or ad groups, and if they're running, and then what actions are based off them. So you may want them to pause, pause a campaign, pause an ad group or a keyword, or to change your bids, or to actually notify you. So you can actually then go into your account and actually take action on that. So so it's really flexible in that respect of knowing what you wanted to do off the back of those actions. And then you can actually choose the frequency in which these run. So something that's unique to Adzuma is we can actually get you Microsoft and Google ad changes down to every half an hour, which is great. It's allowing you to be competitive with your big changes on scale. And whether that's pausing if you've got campaigns that you think need more budget, then you can action those changes. And then you've got the rule results here. So this shows you what's happened on that actual rule. And has it made the changes that you expected? As you can view all the details within here. And you can actually see the changes that's happened and each time it's run. So that's enough for me. I kind of explain that, but I kind of want to just show you now how to actually create those rules.
Sorry, Mark, just a quick one. Can you just enlarge the screen when you're showing this? I think some of the guys
Sure.
on the webinar are having trouble seeing the font.
Of course. Yeah, just bear with me one moment. Fantastic. Hopefully that's better. Is that better, guys?
That's perfect.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you
for letting us know as well. Cool. So within Adzuma you can actually choose from our pre-selected templates, or you can create your own rule from scratch. I'm going to show you an example of each today. So first off is we'll choose the templates. And you can see that we've got rules applied to each part of an actual account. So you can choose campaign, ad group, advert, and keyword. And there's a various selection of actually all the rules you can actually choose. So we're going to choose pause non-converting keywords. And you can see here is you've got an explanation as to the actual rule itself, and what will happen when that rule runs, like if it pauses it, or how it's applied. So is it applied at campaign, ad group, or keyword level? You've got the time frame here. Your data is looking at last 30 days, last 7 days, or even the last previous day. And then when it's to actually run. So this rule is currently set to run every day at 9. It's set to run at 9 p.m. And then also when the conditions are met. So this tells you why that rule is going to run. So this is looking at clicks above. So if a keyword has above 30 clicks and it's got no conversions, it's going to pause that rule. Now you could go ahead and apply this straight away if you were happy with that, but it's nice to be able to actually customize the rule and actually set it to your particular needs in that particular account. So I'm actually in the rule here, and I'm just going to go down to the conditions. Here we are. And you can choose, if you want to look at the last 30 days data, you can go longer. So if you want to go over 60 days, then you could. I'm going to choose this week as an example. And actually, I feel that it's easy for me to measure, say, spend rather than clicks in order to actually pause keywords, which are actually costing too much in the account. So I'm actually going to change that, and that's fine. That's okay, because we can choose spend within here, and then it will be in the currency of the actual account as well. And yeah, let's say if I want to get a lead for £30, and if it's had no conversions, then I will pause that. So that's fine. That's okay. If you wanted to add further conditions into there, so if you wanted to add another mix into that and say, right, okay, I want to make sure that, say, if a CTR is low, is you can click the plus sign here, go into select metric, and then you can type the CTR, and I'll choose less than, say, 5%. Then we could add that into the actual rule. And it's really quick and simple. and then you can choose save here, and then that will save it into the account for you. So assessing these rules is really powerful. There's some great benefits in terms of pausing non-converting keywords. Obviously, the biggest one is actually having a better utilization of your budget. So and then your converting keywords are actually going to like increase the actual lead volume, and also bring down your cost per lead as well. So I'm just going to jump back into the presentation for you. So, and also it just means that you can actually manage it 24/7. You know, as accounts need to be more almost they need to be optimized more often. Is we're actually unable to make those changes like after we leave the office or we go home. So like it's important that we have that management that's outside of the office hours in which we work. It just means to be more effective and drive better results. So just a couple of things just to remember, just on the back of pausing non-converting keywords, is that even though the actual keywords are paused, is there still might be a way to actually use those keywords and actually like increase lead volume through this. So so what I'll probably do is for keywords that are paused through this is you want to be looking at the search query reports in order to look at the intent that's being matched against those keywords. Is it people which are close to the intent of actually wanting to convert on your website, and it just needs some keywords to negativize just to improve that, and then it just needs changing. But also, as Levi's covered as well, is you need to look at the actual intent of the landing page as well. You know, does that mirror the actual ads? Does it mirror the actual keyword searches? And that's really important there. So that may need to be to be considered. Just in terms of like the next ability, and this is getting like more and more of an arena that we're having to fight harder in all the time as we get more and more competition into search engines, is we're having to fight harder in order to be at the top of those devices, whether it's desktop like tablet or a mobile or on TV. And it's one of those things in which if you are finding that you are getting an actual CTR rate, and then you may want to look at, is this actually being caused by the keyword intent or the ad copy, or is it actually like through my ad positioning? So you need to be looking at your impression share top and your absolute impression share. So I'm just going to jump in demo actually, and just show you how to do that. And this is going to be creating a rule from scratch. So it shows you how to create one from the beginning, and how simple that process is in AdZoomer as well. Here we are. Okay, so I'm just going to pop out of this. Just bear with me. Just need to move my bar in. Fantastic. There we go. That's better. Fab. Okay, so I'm back to my automation screen. I want to create a rule from scratch. Really easy. I'm going to go to create custom rule, and I'm going to just name the rule. So I'm going to look at it, look at my keywords. I'm going to look at keywords that have an impression share less than 50%. So I know that on a regular basis, as they're dropping below organic results in them, say Google search engines, for example. So right, I'm just going to name the rule here. Impression share top. Fab. And then you can actually give the description here. So if you've got colleagues that you work on account with, it can be really handy just to give an in-depth a description here, just to allow them to know what the rule is going to do and what it's going to action. So it just helps you as a team to collaborate. And then like how you want this rule to be applied. So we're looking at keyword level here, and I'm going to choose or active keywords. Is you can choose specific keywords in certain campaigns or in certain ad groups. You can be really flexible with that. And the conditions here is I want to increase my bid by 15%. I'm using data from this week, and it's using impression share top. Now you've got impression share top and impression absolute top. So if you were looking to use this for your branding campaigns, for example, you may want to ensure that you've got that first place. So you could look to use impression share top, and you could put, say, for example, that I want to have an impression share top, and if it's less than, say, 80%, and then increase my bid by 15%. If you are going to do it based on brands, though, and you are going for absolute top, just ensure that you do actually add a decrease bid rule as well, just to ensure that you're not driving up the costs on your own bids a bit. So we're going to run this on impression. And then choose next, and then I've got the frequency, so I can choose like whether this runs once every 30 minutes, which is great, every hour, or I can run this on a daily basis. I'm going to run this on a daily basis, and I want this to run at say 7 o'clock in the morning, just before I get to the office. And also I want to be notified by this rule as well, so choose next. And then I can choose whether I want the rule to actually be live straight away, or if I want to check it just before that runs, I can choose it to be paused and then choose save here. So just to kind of recap on this, in terms of what we created here. So so in terms of impression share, this will really help drive up the visibility. You've got to increase your brand awareness. It will also help drive further leads as well, but also it's got the benefits of actually being able to improve your click-through rates, which in turn will help with, over a longer period, help drive down your cost per clicks as well. But it's really important. These tools really kind of help manage and actually push forward your actual bid management as well. And that's what's great about the rule feature within Adzuma. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have got as well. Chuck them in the chat and we'll answer them in the Q&A session. But I'm just going to hand over to Pun just to talk about the opportunities available within the platform as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mark. All right, I'm going to attempt to share my screen now. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to present. Sorry, everyone. This is the first time I'm doing a webinar on Zoom, so a new learning curve for me as well. All right, fantastic. So obviously the guys at TARS have taken us through how you can convert the traffic coming to your site better. Mark's just taken us through some great automated rules that you can actually implement to make sure that your accounts are working efficiently and that you're getting the right traffic to your website. What I really wanted to talk to you now about was automated optimizations. What I mean by this is that when I started in search back in 2007, there was about 10, maybe 12 things you looked at when you're optimizing an account. Nowadays, you're looking at over 100 things just to manage an account properly. So how can you actually do this realistically? There's only a finite amount of time available every day. So how can a human being actually manage all of these things and make sure their accounts are running properly? Well, the way we do it at Adzuma is we use things called opportunities, and these are our automated optimizations. How these work is they look at aspects of your account, so stuff like account health, they look at account management, and they identify opportunities for both growth of your account as well as savings you can make within the account. And then they also make sure that you're following best practice. Now, to do all of these things yourself manually and trawl through hours of data every day would obviously take there's not enough time literally in a year to be able to run it properly. So using an automated feature like this can save you not only time, can also give you peace of mind to make sure that your accounts are running properly, but also give you those optimization recommendations that are going to help you drive performance without you having to spend hours and hours doing it. This is kind of what automated opportunities look like on Adzuma. So there's a quick screenshot over here. But what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to jump into a demo and show you how they can help you not only improve performance, but also how they can help you save money and follow best practice. So bear with me for a second as I jump to the demo, see if the link works. Fantastic. All right, cool. Hopefully the screen is large enough. Please let me know if it's not. One of the panelists will have to let me know, as I can't read the messages. However, moving into the Adzuma platform over here, we can now see the opportunities tab. And within the opportunities tab, it's actually split into 4 different sections, 5 sections if you include the partner offers. However, at the moment, we're going to focus on these ones here. So number 1 is it will give you recommendations on how to improve your performance within your account. And this is across Google, Microsoft, and Facebook. It will also show you areas where you can reduce wasted spend. So Mark showed us one of the rules for pausing non-converted keywords, which is obviously a big thing. Now, the way he showed it to us was to actually use a customization there to make it more specific to the kind of keywords you want to pause. But within here, there is also, if you just want to top level pausing generic keywords, that is also one of the options that's available. Thirdly, we can give you recommendations on best practice. So this is working closely with the likes of Microsoft and Google to make sure that we're following their best practice guidelines, as well as our own from the specialities that we have within the team. And then finally, looking at account structure and just making sure that your account is actually running in the most efficient way possible. So let's take a look at a few of these. So if we go down to improve performance, the opportunities that come out are really range across anything from keyword bids all the way down to your actual ads, and then looking at even things like fixing spelling mistakes within ads. To actually implement this is super easy, and I'm just going to quickly show you how to do this. So for example, one of the things that you might do is you might have hundreds of ads within your account, but you don't know whether you have any spelling mistakes or not unless someone spots it live and then tells you. Over here within Adzuma, you've got the fixed spelling mistakes opportunity. So it will tell you which campaigns there's a spelling mistake in, which ad group. And the great thing about the platform is it can also estimate how much time you would save by using the Adzuma platform or an automated feature rather than having to do it manually. And also, if it is keyword specific, it can also then tell you a performance increase. So how many impressions you're likely to get from making the change, as well as how many clicks. So to look at any opportunity, and in this case, the fixed spelling mistake, you'd click on the details button next to the opportunity over here. And that brings up the example or the ad where you have the spelling mistake, and then the recommended fix for the ad over here. So you can scroll down, make sure that that all looks okay. And if you're happy with that, you can then click add to queue, and it adds that to your queue. You can then scroll further down, look at the other opportunities that you have over here. So you may have seen that your search partners on across search on Google aren't working very well. So over here, there's none. So it's saying to us, actually, you don't need to disable your search partners. But you can increase device bid adjustments. Over here, we can see that if we click on the details, we can it's telling us that our tablets actually perform best and smartphones perform worst. So here's some adjusted bid recommendations that we can implement within the account for that campaign. So again, you can add this to the queue if you're happy with that. If you're not, you can change one of these and say, actually, for smartphones, we actually don't want to, we need to increase it further because we know from a branding perspective, smartphones actually do really well for us. So we'll put that up to 60%. Save, and then you can add that to your queue as well. As we go down, I mentioned reduce wasted spend. So some of the areas where people really do lose out on wasted spend, stuff like broken links within your account. You're paying for ads, you're paying for clicks to your website, only for someone to land on a broken page. So over here, Adzuma will identify any broken links. Again, you can look at the details. It will tell you over here which ones where the issues are within the ad groups, and it allows you to pause these ad groups so that you can then go into your native platform and change the landing page to the correct one. So again, you can add that to the queue. One important thing though as well is to not only enable but also to ignore. So for example here, it may say to enable ad scheduling. But that may be something you don't want to do because you want to appear 24/7 for any particular reason. So therefore, rather than looking at the details, you can actually say, actually, I want to ignore this. When you ignore it, the AI looks at it, picks that up, and it remembers that you don't actually need that optimizer, that recommendation. So next time it's looking through your optimizations, it may come up again because it thinks it is a good idea. But once it's done 2 or 3 times and ignored, it will then remember this and stop serving you that recommendation. So even if you don't think you want to use one of the recommendations, it's worth ignoring it so the AI can learn from it and know exactly what needs to be sent through to you. And I'll do a couple more examples. So as you scroll down for best practice, this is really looking at, have you got all your ads set up properly? Have you got the right ad extensions? So here, we're obviously on this webinar, we're talking about how you can improve leads. And one of the best ways, obviously, to improve leads on your site is chatbots. But away from also chatbots, as Levi was saying before, you might have a smaller operation, and so you can afford to get more people in your call center. So you can add a call extension over here. If you haven't got a call extension, the Adzuma platform will analyze this. It will recommend to you to add call extensions, and then you can look at here by campaign. So literally click on the details again. Ensure that your numbers, so here's the UK, but you can obviously pick whichever country code you need, and then ensure that the correct numbers in here, and then again add to queue. So and then quickly we can look at account structure, and again here is just making sure that you have specific campaigns enabled in case you didn't realize some paused. You can also pause conflicting keywords. So if you have keywords in an ad group, but you also have the negative as a negative as well, you can then make sure that you're pausing those keywords because you obviously don't want to be showing for them. Then you can scroll up to the top. Just to mention as well, at any point, you can also filter by each different type. So if you wanted to only see the recommendations for improving your performance, you can just click on the improve performance here, and then only those will show up over here, just to make it easier for you to see them. And then once you've actually queued all your recommendations that you want to watch or that you want to add to your account, you literally click on apply all over here, and then that will apply all of your recommendations that you wanted to your account. So here's the list of all the ones that you added to your queue. Over here, you can see that the time saved is 15 plus 10, 20. That's 35 minutes it would have taken. But here it's taken us 5 minutes to do this. Click apply all, and those are sent directly to your ad account. And it's as easy as that. And that is exactly how automation here can save you time. Quickly go back to here. All right, fantastic. Oh, gone back. So hopefully that that was a good example for everyone as to how automation and opportunities can help make sure that you're driving the correct traffic to your site and that your account's working as efficiently as possible. If we now move on to any question, well, first of all, thank you everyone for listening to us. Thank you to Levi and Mark as well for the input over here. And now we'd like to open the floor to any questions. I did see quite a few coming through on the chat, so let's see what else has come through while I've been presenting.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some very direct questions that I think are great for you, and then we'll probably so go ahead and feel free to answer those, and then I think we can jump back up and just read a couple of these questions that were in chat and answer them live as well. For anybody who wasn't really keeping up with the chat, we can still share those answers.
If there's any questions you want to shout out, let me know, because I can't actually read the questions at the moment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and maybe Mark would be better to answer, but there's there's probably 3 or 4 direct questions to you guys about how the Adzuma platform works and some other specifics.
Sure. Like I was just responding to Amy actually on the chat in terms as to the question about search partners. So the question was, should search partners be enabled or or disabled an account. And I suppose that really depends. It depends on if you've historically had search partners running and the actual leads are coming in at the cost per lead that that you would like, it's under target, then by all means is that you can run search partners. But it also depends on if it has been running, do you have the budget available to actually run search partners as well? Because there's a likelihood that it could exhaust the campaign budget. So it really kind of depends. But like I'm happy to answer that further. If you want to get in touch with some more data, I'm perfectly happy to answer that for you. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. Whenever it comes to search partners, I think it's always the main thing you have to do is analyze your data, and the same as what you would with any keyword. If it's working for you, then great, continue going. And if you have the budget to expand and scale upon it, then go ahead. But be very careful, because obviously search partners does include a lot of different other search engines and websites within the Google or Microsoft networks.
And can we just move to the last slide on this so everybody can see our contact details while we answer questions?
Can indeed.
Perfect.
There you go.
Okay, I'm gonna answer a question from before, which was, let me see, I'm just gonna roll up here. Can this thing integrate with Facebook ads? And I was, based on the responses and whatnot, this was actually directed at TARS. So can TARS chatbots be integrated with Facebook ads? Yes, they can. And we actually went in a little deeper there, and there's some resources shared about leveraging WhatsApp chatbots too, because we do integrate directly with WhatsApp and create automated messages. And as everybody knows, WhatsApp is a part of Facebook. So there is a way to take somebody from a Facebook ad and drop them directly into a WhatsApp automated conversation as well. Similarly, we can link out to direct conversational landing pages where it's just a chatbot on page in really any ad capacity. There was one other question about the demo being more B to C, and wondering more about B2B, and these are all definitely possible. Tom specifically asked if it was possible to target leadership at a company. And absolutely. So even just asking somebody, right, what's your role in a company, can then branch to different messaging, different outcomes based on that role. So you can get really granular. And I think this is the key, right? This is really where we're talking about the value. If you can focus your content directly to the role, to the person that you have segments, you have lists that you're using on these folks through drip campaigns anyways, you can identify them, you can give them direct copy that is going to, perform really well with them, and really start making headway early on, instead of a very vague, couple bits of detail about prospect, and then having to then do a bunch of extra work to qualify them to see if they're an actual ICP and if you can actually get a conversion out of it. So the idea here is to remove that barrier and save yourself a ton of time, just like AdZuma is working on. We're also trying to save you a ton of time in your actual day-to-day operations as well, using these engaging interfaces.
Amazing. And I think just before I started presenting, there was one question about what kind of conversion rates you should be looking at when pausing keywords, and kind of similar to the search partners question. It's really looking at the data. So number one, I mean, it wouldn't really be about a conversion rate as such. Conversion rates are a good way to measure how effective your website is, number one, at driving leads, but also how effective your audience targeting or keyword targeting is. But what you really want to look at is your CPA. And as long as your CPA is coming in at an affordable cost, then you can continue targeting that specific keyword. However, if it's getting expensive, either because CPCs are increasing or because your conversion rate is reducing so much, then you have to look at whether it's worth pausing it. and then using stuff like Google Analytics or any analytics platform to measure the pathway and see if it actually played a part in any other conversions.
Great. Let's see. We still have about 5 minutes. Tons of questions. Love it. It's always great to have. Thank you to the audience for being so interactive and asking so many questions. Really appreciate it. This is really what the webinar is all about. We're trying to share some information, but we really just want to have a conversation with you, and happy to continue answering these. Okay. Yeah, and just to dive a little bit deeper into a response I put out there as well, TARS chatbots can reference keywords that landed the user on the page in the first place, and actually take dynamic action. So it can start from a different start place instead of the traditional, where you've set that start point. If the keywords are specific to a particular segment of users, then you can just jump to that messaging right away and use. We also have a rule-based, condition-based aspect to our workflow builder, so we can target things like that, target devices, things of that nature, and make the experience change to match those segments. So that's really cool stuff. The question here is, do you create and manage website as well? I.e., how does it interface with my website? I think we're talking about the chatbots. As far as that goes, it's less than 5 minutes to add a chatbot to your website. It interfaces really well. You can actually connect the chatbot to actions on your web page as well, or it can sit there as a widget that basically floats on all pages or specific pages. The idea is, even at the very bare bones level, you have a form that sits at the bottom, or maybe it's in your hero section. And with a chatbot, it's always there. So it's always ready to engage the user no matter where they're at, what sparks their interest in moving forward. Additionally, you can create an action that it allows it to pop up and start talking to the user from a curated spot. Maybe they're interested in a specific product or service, and the chatbot, once they click learn more, can pop up and start talking to them about that product, and then moving towards qualifying that lead and converting them. So, but we do not personally create websites. We do help you create chatbots though, and we will help you add them to your landing pages, websites, or deploy them as is.
Eva, I did have one question about chatbots.
Sure.
Oh, sorry. Just a quick one. Is there anything when you're obviously I think you're putting a chatbot on your website. Is there anything that you need to take into account if you have a custom built website versus a off-the-shelf CMS?
Not really.
Or would it integrate in the same way?
It pretty much integrates in the same way. You can go about adding it multiple ways. You can use Google Tag Manager. So websites like Wix that don't have an easy way to add a widget, we just leverage Google Tag Manager. It inserts the chatbot on every page or whatever page you want to target, and it's there for the user to interact with. So there's that. You can add it as a script basically directly to a page and it will appear, or we have a WordPress plugin. I mean, there's many ways to approach it, but so nobody's excluded from using it. There is one other question on that note, which is, do chatbots embedded on a website change the load speed? Ours do not. So there are some that do, that require the chatbot to load before the page loads. That's not a good idea. Just putting it out there. Ours allows the page to load and loads on its own in the background, which is actually really fast. So I think we're looking at somewhere between 3 to 5 seconds for that chatbot to load as a widget on a page, which is very quick. Before people even realize what they're looking at, that chatbot's popping in and allowing the user to engage with it if they want to. So the question is, my employer website doesn't give permissions to the website. Is there another way to integrate the chatbot on the landing page? Good question. I think we would probably take this one offline. Feel free to connect with us and chat about that. I think we'd have to look at exactly how that that's structured, and we can get you an answer on that one. We are at the top of the hour again. It has been an hour. We will still wait for any more questions, but feel free. I'm sure some folks have some other things to do, and we will wait just a couple more minutes. If there's any more questions, we're happy to answer. But otherwise, we will be wrapping up this session here pretty quick. So last chance. Okay, doesn't look like we have any more questions. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all for joining us again. It has been a pleasure. Poon, Mark, it was just fantastic seeing the Adzuma platform and watching all the great ways that people can leverage this automation to save themselves time, money, and again, from the TAR side, we're here to make these experiences post-click much more engaging, to create those conversions, to create happy prospects, and save you time and money in the process as well. So no more questions. We're all done here. Again, thank you for joining us. This has been another TARS webinar, and this is Levi, your main host here, saying thank you for joining us, and remember to always start the conversation.